in this interview or this conversation will be impart a big impact to the health and safety based on our experience.
Cultural differences in between from the people from the different nationalities when they are working. Hi viewers, how are you? My name is Syed from W3 Talks. Today we are going to discuss health and safety issues in oil and gas industries. In this episode, we will be joining with Mr. Juvy D Cruz from Philippines, having more than 20 years of experience in HSE. Hi Mr. Juvy.
Thank you for inviting me with your show. And I hope in this interview or this conversation will be impart a big impact to the health and safety based on our experience, even on the changes of the guideline, changes of the rules. So thank you once again.
So my first question is, what are the key health and safety issues in oil and gas industry?
For the general requirement, what we are doing on the oil and gas, because oil and gas process is a different compared to the construction. So in the oil and gas, you are dealing with the hazardous material, same like the crude oil, the gas, or the petroleum product. So the health and safety in the oil and gas is quite different, especially on the part of the operation. So as based on my experience, what I'm working before with the SADCO, the British Petroleum, and then SUCAR, in the oil and gas, once we have the policy should be always in place. It should be followed, and it should be a strict compliance with the policy accordance with the general standard. So what we experienced before in the oil and gas, some of the contractor when they join, especially on the contracting side. So for example, for the shutdown, for the operation, so we have a subcontractor on that. So normally we do is we start with the induction. So we discuss about the safety in our workplace, the safety on our area, in our facilities, divided to the red zone, to the green zone. So this is what we are discussing in the induction. And also we discuss in the induction with regards with our penalties. So we have a penalty, for example, you are doing an unsafe act, which can cause a big impact on the loss of the production, the loss of the life of people. So immediately in the oil and gas, we take the ID and immediately send them outside, and it will be banned for minimum of 1 year. So the process in the health and safety in the oil and gas is quite different. Unlike for the construction, if you are working with the construction side, you're just giving them first warning, second warning, third warning, fourth warning, and then that's the time you will send the guy outside the site or ban him in the construction site. So this is a different type of industry, and this is quite different with the people you are working also. So first we are considering the culture, the people we work with. For example, some people from Asia, so some people from Europe, some people from US or in UK. So a different culture and different prescription of the compliance with the health and safety. So that's the general thing we encounter in our experience for the past 20 years. So some people from UK, they are very compliant with the health and safety, and then the same time with the quality. So we don't have much problem. How about for the people working in Asia? For example, those working in oil and gas is from Asia, and they don't have any idea about the hazards on our workplace. So we have to train them again for the first time on the induction. We have to train them how to deal with the hazardous area. We have a different type on the induction. We have the induction 1 for the green zone. We have the induction for the red zone. And then specialized training. If they are working on the red zone, they have to attend the permit to work system. We have the hot, cold, isolation permit, electrical permit, excavation permit, and they have a lot of training in the oil and gas. So this is what we experience. We don't have much issues or encounter any problem with the oil and gas because it's a hazardous area, and most of the management working on the oil and gas, they are very strict in compliance with the general requirement on the legal standard or a local standard.
So, Mr. Juvy, what do you think about the attitude of the employees and the top management with regards to health and safety?
Yeah. When I'm going to saying about the attitude of the people, once again, I mentioned before that it's the different culture. So, for example, we are dealing with the European people, and then it means that they are full aware about the health and safety. So during the induction, we are mentioning them that if you're not going to comply with a certain requirement or to the health and safety office or committee, you will be automatically removed from the site. You can go with the second flight, or you have to go in the first flight, because I work in the oil and gas in the island. So in the island, you have to go by plane for another 45 minutes from Abu Dhabi airport going to the Sadko Island. So once you go there in the island, there is a lot of training or awareness before you go to the island. And when you reach to the island, and the first day or your day 1 and day 2, you will attend the training. So for this, we are trying to inculcate them about the attitude and the culture of the different in the different views in the oil and gas. So once the people abroad on the island, okay, we start them with induction training. We mention them that if they were not going to comply, they were automatically removed the same day or the same time once they have this violation. And for the attitude of the laborer, so normally they are going to comply because they are afraid that they might lose their job, they might lose their salary, something like this. Unfortunately, some of the managers, if you are a manager in the oil and gas or a subcontractor in the oil and gas, so sometimes the manager is trying to play with the health and safety because they want to have a progress on their project or for their or work. So normally, what we experience with the top management, if they are working before on a different culture of health and safety, for example, they're just doing the health and safety for compliance, it means when they enter in the oil and gas, they are doing the same. So this is what we are mentioning to them. And good to say that during my term in the oil and gas, we removed some of the managers, like the project managers, the site engineer, because they are not complying with the oil and gas. So when we are doing the training for the attitude of the people, so we are considering them the culture, their study or their education, their experience, and even their ability to comply with the health and safety. So far, based on my experience in the oil and gas, we don't have much issue on this. Unfortunately, when I'm joined the oil and gas for the pipeline project, so there's a lot of difference between the operation and for the pipeline project. So it's a big difference, because in the pipeline project you have a limited people. So if you remove these people, the project or the work will gonna be stopped, or sometimes it cannot be delayed. So this is a different type. If you are working with the operation, and the operation you are representing as a client, so you are the top management that you have to be a model to them. Unfortunately, if you are working with the subcontractor or per project, that means you need to comply with a certain duration. So if your project is for 6 months only, we have to finish the project in 6 months. This is sometimes it compromises the health and safety.
So, Mr. Juvy, could you please tell us something about the cultural differences in between from the people from the different nationalities when they are working in the oil and gas industry?
Actually, when I work with a different culture, for example, I work with Chinese people, I'm the one who is learning their language. If I work with the Indian, then I have to work with their language. I have to learn some of the major things, especially during the tollbox talk or presentation of the hazard and the risk to people. At least when you talk their language, they will listen and they will love you. And then when they listen to you, they have to say, okay, this is what we need to comply. Because sometimes what I experience is I'm giving them a toolbox talk, okay, or induction, and then the translator is saying a different information. Well, in the case of working with the other culture, the attitude actually is not a big problem with the working in the health and safety. Otherwise, you tell them that otherwise, if you are not going to comply with the health and safety, this is what gonna happen. You will have some accident, major accident, or minor accident, and the worst thing is the fatality. So sometimes they are thinking that it is right and it's true that when they have a accident, for example, electrocution, and then normally if they have electrocution, then they will have a major sufferings from their body. So this is the type that we are dealing. And if you are passionate with the health and safety, you have to go again with your risk assessment. You have to review again your policy. You have to review your objective. And especially on the risk assessment, this is what I'm always mentioning some of my people when I'm still the health and safety manager. So I always tell to my people that you have to read the risk assessment every time that is gonna change some workplace. It's gonna change with the technology, change of the manpower, especially when they are working with the young people. Young people, they are very aggressive. They have a less experience. They're always saying that they can do it. I can do it like this. I can do it. And eventually after the accident, and then they will say, okay, I'm sorry, this is not my fate. This is a issue in the work hazard. So this is the thing that we are always trying to say, the attitude of the people. A good safety officer or safety engineer or safety manager, you have to consider every time to read the risk assessment, to review the risk assessment, because this is a vital part of the health and safety. The regulation, sometimes it's like, you know, the regulation, sometimes it's strict, sometimes it's compliance only. But if you're a good or a passionate safety officer, you have to base your decision based on the international standard or the local standard, and also based on your experience. Because if you're working with a project, as I mentioned before, we have a timeline. So normally the foreman, the site engineer, they have to say, okay, Ayala, you have to go, you have to finish, you have to do like this, okay, forget about the health and safety, forget the safety officer is my friend, so something like this. So this is a different part of the health and safety. It's a challenging job. And as I remember one of my mentor before, he always tell me the health and safety is always a bad guy. So when he told me that always as a bad guy, you do the right thing, you do the wrong thing, you're always a bad guy. And this is the thing which I'm uh, using in my daily work. So I always thinking that I am a bad guy, I'm a bad guy. And then that's the thing that I have to read the risk assessment. I have to read again the training. So when I'm saying this to them, they're saying that, okay, we have to listen to you because you are the bad guy of the site. And then I'm good, but I'm giving them a good part of the health and safety. And normally one of the major thing we encountered, especially on the site, attitude of the people. Okay, normally we give them training. We have a masonry training, we have the carpenter training, we have the operator training. Unfortunately, what happened always on the site, especially for the young people coming from a different side of the world. So they come to, for example, they come to Abu Dhabi and they said, this guy is working before in the construction for 10 years. Unfortunately, he was coming from the farm. He is just planting the rice or taking care of the duck. And then when he go to Abu Dhabi, he is now an engineer. So this is some of the problem that we encounter because their education is a different on what it's saying on their experience. So once we identify this type of people, we give them a different approach. For example, we give them more training. We invited them to become one of the model or role on the health and safety. So in this time, we are facing different challenges every day in the site. And this is what I'm always taking to my guys. You have to learn every day. You have to read the risk assessment. When there's a changes, we have to revise it, and especially if there's a changes of the manpower and a different type of culture which they came from.
Thank you, Mr. Juvy. It's a nice talking with you. The experiences, the thoughts, the best practices you have shared with us regarding oil and gas industries and the health and safety issues. Thank you very much, Mr. Juvy.
So thank you so much, guys, watching our show W3 Talks. I hope you guys are enjoying our show, and please let us know if you want some other topics to be covered in our next episode.
And please like, comment and share and hit the bell button.
Yes.